Today we're taking a look at these NFL matches, which are happening on Sunday, January 8, 2023, and giving you our 5 best bets for today. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and make sure to watch it till the end so you don't miss any of our picks. Also check out our Patreon if you want access our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. You will find the link in description and comments section below. One more thing before we start, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link in the description and comments section below. For our first best bet we have Pittsburgh Steelers vs Cleveland Browns. The Pittsburgh Steelers play host to the Cleveland Browns in a crucial AFC North showdown on Sunday afternoon from Acrisure Stadium. Only one game separates these two in the standings, but they both have far different things to play for in this one. The Browns have already been eliminated from playoff contention, but after last week's win, will be looking to play spoiler again. For Pittsburgh, 3 wins in a row have them primed for the final playoff spot if things fall the right way. Cleveland won the first matchup this season between the two, and a season sweep would be detrimental to their rivals' chances, though the Browns would love nothing more than to do that. In their latest game, the Browns defeated the Commanders 24-10 to knock them out of the playoffs. The Browns trailed 7-3 at halftime, but they came back with one of their best third-quarter performances of the season. They outscored Washington 14-0 in that quarter as Watson threw for 2 touchdowns. One of them went to Amari Cooper and the other to Donovan Peoples-Jones. In the fourth quarter, Cleveland secured the win after Watson found Cooper for a 33-yard touchdown pass. Watson ended 9 for 18 as he threw for 169 yards, 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He also rushed for 31 yards. Cooper caught 3 passes for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns in the win. But the run-first offense was led by Nick Chubb. He went for 104 yards on 14 carries. The defense was crucial for the Browns in the win. Grant Delpit had 2 interceptions, and Denzel Ward had 1 too. Washington's Carson Wentz could only muster 143 yards passing, 0 touchdowns and 3 picks. Teams needing to win have their lines artificially inflated because of the perception that teams that need it the most should win and cover. And tons of pressure for the team that needs to win and get in against a team that can play totally loose. Cleveland's offense has been predicated on finding success on the ground this season, and that will probably be their mindset in this one. They rank 6th in the league in rushing yards per game, but with how strong Pittsburgh has been against the run, it might not come as easy as it has over the last few weeks. Deshaun Watson has struggled since taking over as the starting quarterback, and potentially being without Cooper could make it challenging for him. Nick Chubb is having a remarkable season, sitting at nearly 1,500 rushing yards on the season, but it also remains to be seen how many carries he'll get with nothing necessarily riding on this game. Kenny Pickett in a must-win and get-in game is in a tough spot as a rookie, and to do it by covering by margin is not an easy task. This late-season surge by the Steelers in the last month has been backed by some good fortune late in games. In fact, while the Steelers are 3-1 in the last 4 games, 2 wins came by 3 points and another by 8 points. The blended fourth-quarter win probability through late in those games suggests that the Steelers should have won only 1.5 games instead of 3. The Steelers had less than a 30% win probability in all 2 of their 3 wins using this data. Considering that they were trailing for most of their Week 16 game against the Raiders at home as 2.5-point favorites, it's hard for me to suggest that this 2.5-point line makes sense against a better team in the Browns. Also, consider who the Steelers' defense has faced recently. I think the 2.5 points are very valuable in a low total game like this, and the Steelers winning but not covering is on the table as well. Our first best is Browns plus 2.5 points. In a Week 18 game, I wouldn't put it past either team to try and go for 2, and the win if put in that spot, which makes plus 2.5 even more valuable. For our second best bet we have Chicago Bears vs Minnesota Vikings. The over looks good in this game because both defenses are objectively terrible. Sure, Nathan Peterman has looked awful in the past, but this is also his first start in 4 years, and he probably won't be quite as bad this time around. He has played pretty well in the preseason, and now he's facing a Vikings defense at home that has given up at least 34 points in 3 of their past 4 games. Minnesota got torched last week to the tune of 41, so even Chicago's anemic offense should be able to have some success. We have the two bottom-of-the-barrel scoring defenses coming together in this game. Both teams do have a lot of key offensive players banged up, no more than the Bears losing Fields, the guy who does it all for them. I do however think there will be plenty of points to be had here. 4 of the last 6 times these teams have met have gone over, and the last 4 Vikings games against divisional opponents have gone over as well. In fact, Minnesota has seen their last 6 games go over, and combined these two teams have had 21 overs on the year. Our second best bet is over 42.5 points. If nothing else, I expect them to get something going on the ground. The Vikings should move the ball pretty well too, since the Bears also gave up 41 points last week. Chicago has now allowed at least 25 points in 9 straight games and given up at least 31 in 6 of those. They can't do anything right on defense, and when these teams first played this season, Minnesota dropped 29. And that was despite Kirk Cousins having just an average day. For our third best bet we have Miami Dolphins vs New York Jets. New York has lost 5 games in a row to fall out of playoff content, the most recent also being by the largest margin, 23-6 to the Seattle Seahawks. The Jets only gained 279 yards from scrimmage, compared to 346 for the Seahawks. New York only made it into the red zone 1 time and failed to convert a TD. While QB Mike White threw 2 interceptions, the Jets' offensive line didn't do him any favors by allowing 4 sacks for 36 yards. They missed the -1 spread, while the total went under 43. It looks as though Joe Flacco will get another shot with White struggling with rib injuries. There is a lot of uncertainty with the Dolphins' quarterback situation this week, so you can expect this number to fluctuate violently if and when a starter is confirmed. At the time of publication, all 3 QBs on the roster were still in the mix to start. Tua is the biggest long shot of the bunch, and as of Wednesday has not yet returned to practice while being officially listed as doubtful. Miami also signed Mike Glennon to the practice squad, which is a clear indicator Tua is unlikely to be cleared from concussion protocol this week. Teddy Bridgewater's injured pinky isn't as severe as once thought, and as long as he can grip a football, would be next in line to get the start. If neither of those two are healthy enough to play, it would be rookie Skylar Thompson under center this week in the biggest game of the season for Miami. Obviously, this is a tough situation to handicap from a betting perspective, as QB has the biggest impact on the point spread, but frankly I don't really care who starts for the Dolphins this week, and I'm willing to risk a point or 2 of CLV with Thompson on the off chance Tua or Bridgewater returns, which would likely mean Miami closes a favorite. According to 538, Miami currently has a 42% chance of making the playoffs. Beating the Jets would raise that figure to 80%, while a tie would set them back to 37%. A loss would eliminate them from the picture completely. They're already on a 5-game losing streak, 2-3 Austrian shillings, the most recent coming in a close 23-21 game against the New England Patriots. In that game, the Dolphins had 21 first downs to the Patriots' 14, but they failed to capitalize by throwing 2 interceptions, including a pick 6. They still managed to cover the +3 spread, and the total went over 41.5. The real crux of this handicap revolves around the Jets' recent failures on offense and why this matchup is of particular concern. First, let's start with the Jets' issues, which begin at the top with Mike Lafleur's inept play calling. The Jets have the second lowest success rate in the NFL on early downs this season, which are a more predictive category than 3rd and 4th down success. This problem was on full display on Sunday in Seattle, when Mike White had the second lowest EPA plus CPOE of any QB last week and 3rd lowest on early downs. White is clearly not yet 100% from his painful rib injury suffered less than a month ago in Buffalo, and I don't expect him to be at full strength this week either. Miami's defense has been the furthest thing from a dominant unit this season, ranked 26th in EPA play, while allowing a 47% success rate on dropbacks. But the one thing they do excel in is getting pressure on the quarterback. The Dolphins are 3rd this season in pass rush win rate and have 3 dangerous weapons who all create havoc up front. Jalen Phillips is the best of the bunch, compiling 63 pressures and 9 sacks this season. He's been held in check the last 2 weeks, but that was against the Patriots and Packers, 2 of the best defensive lines in the league. Christian Wilkins and Melvin Ingram have also combined for 53 pressures and 12 sacks this season and must be accounted for in the pass rush. Our third best bet is Dolphins win. Think Miami will have more than enough offensively to get the job done. Obviously, if Bridgewater or Tua end up starting, the Dolphins will close as favorite here, and I will feel even better about their chances. For our fourth best bet we have San Francisco 49ers versus Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers meet Sunday in NFL action from Levi's Stadium. Arizona is 4-12 so far this year. The Cardinals lost to the Falcons in their last game. As for San Francisco, they're 12-4 after a win over the Raiders on Sunday. Check back all season long for free NFL picks at Sports Chat Place. When you are looking at a point spread as high as this game's 14-point mark, betting the over-under usually comes down to whether or not you believe the favorite is going to cover. If you believe they will, you usually expect the under to hit because it tends to be one team blowing out the other and limiting them to very few points. It did not work out that way in their last meeting, as the 49ers won 38-10, covering the 9.5-point spread and pushing the game total to the over for the second consecutive time between these two teams. But can we expect the same? The Arizona Cardinals recently lost their starting quarterback when Kyler Murray suffered a torn ACL during the Week 14 matchup against the Patriots. Colt McCoy then took charge as the quarterback but was ruled out after suffering a concussion. Since then, the Cardinals have played Trace McSorley, 383 IDs, 4 int, 11.7 QBR, and David Blough, 222 IDs, 1 TD, 42.3 QBR, under center. Blough is expected to continue starting for the Cardinals. In their last matchup against the 49ers, Arizona earned 314 yards, rushing for 67 yards, and passing for 247 yards. They turned the ball over twice and put up just 10 points. Given the offensive firepower of the 49ers and the fact that they are still competing for the number 1 seed and first-round bye, we expect San Francisco to put up some decent points this week. The Cardinals' defense struggles against both the pass and the run and has allowed an average of 26 points per game this season. But we aren't worried about the scoring for San Francisco as much as we are concerned over how many points David Blough and the Cardinals' offense can put up. With the possibility of the 49ers defense taking their foot off the gas late in this game, depending on how much scoreboard watching they do, and with how well Cardinals coach Cliff Kingsbury does in covering the spread, we should probably see more scoring than what Vegas is giving us. Our fourth best bet is over 40.5 points. Just think if the 49ers score the 26 points the Cardinals are giving up on average and expect Arizona to cover, then we are already at 40 points for the game. Can one do a little better than average? We think so. For our fifth best bet we have Green Bay Packers versus Detroit Lions. With the NFL season returning to some semblance of normalcy, the Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers will do battle in the final Sunday night game of the regular season in a game filled with playoff implications. The 8-8 Lions will need some help earlier in the day for this game to have significance. A Seahawks loss will make this game a win and in for the Lions. For Green Bay, also 8-8, the math is far simpler. A win and they are in the playoffs. No one would have thought that the Packers would be in this spot 5 weeks ago. They had just given up 40 points to the Eagles in a loss and were 4-8 on the year. But in the last 4 weeks, Aaron Rodgers and the offense have scored 30 points a game, and the Green Bay defense has allowed only 17 per game. The Packers are now hosting the Lions in a win-and-get-in scenario on Sunday Night Football. In the first matchup, which the Lions won 15-9, Rodgers was picked off 3 times for just the 5th time in his career. That won't happen again this week. The Packers' defense played great in that first meeting and has been on fire during this 4-game win streak, snagging 8 turnovers in the last 2 games and 12 total over their last 4. Jared Goff will be playing in an uncomfortable environment outside in cold weather. Since entering the league, Goff has played only 2 games in weather under 30 degrees. In those games, he has a combined 34.5 passer rating, 47.2% completion rate, 0 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and an average of 190.5 passing yards. After losing 6 of their first 7 games, the Lions look to be the same old laughable Lions this season. Instead of packing things up, however, Dan Campbell's squad regrouped and has won 7 of its last 9 games to put the team in a position to make the playoffs for the first time since 2016. The Lions have been led by an offense that has featured the resurgence of quarterback Jared Goff, a two-headed monster at running back, and a near no-name receiving group that has torn up the league. Last Sunday, the Lions closed out their home schedule with a 41-10 rout over the Bears. Goff led the way with 3 touchdowns, including 2 to unheralded tight end Brock Wright. The running back duo of Jamal Williams and D'Andre Swift were dominant, with Williams running for 144 yards and a touchdown, and Swift adding 78 yards and a score. Amon-Ra St. Brown led the receiving group with 4 catches for 62 yards. I have great respect for Campbell's ability to motivate his team, and I appreciate the run they've gone on to get back to playoff contention. 2 huge issues are at play here, however. The distinct possibility of a Seahawks win earlier in the day would certainly sink the sails of the Lions for sure. Secondly, I am not very confident in Jared Goff playing in front of a hostile road crowd in what will certainly be less than ideal conditions. The Packers should be able to contain the Lions' rushing attack based on the numbers they've put up in the last 3 games, which will force Goff to beat them. Still, this game should not be a cakewalk for Green Bay. The Lions don't quit. Dan Campbell will have his team ready to play even if they are eliminated for the playoffs before they kick off. I expect the Green Bay defense to continue to play well with the playoffs on the line. Plus, Aaron Rodgers has the highest quarterback rating in NFL history in primetime games at 106.8 and had won 13 consecutive primetime games until losing at Buffalo this season. Our 5th best bet is Packers minus 4.5 points. Goff has come a long way this season, but I don't think he can overcome the Packers' 4th-ranked pass defense, below freezing conditions and possibly the real possibility that the Lions will have already been eliminated. Rodgers and the Packers can pound the ball against a suspect Lions run defense to set up the pass. This will be a Packers party on Sunday night.